With the UK banks financially weaker than at any time in history and consumers deeper in debt than at any time in history, that's some green, some shoots.
And we'll be hearing from Paul a little later. Now, Michael Crick joins us to talk about the political impact of Baroness Videira's words. It was a pretty big gaffe, wasn't it?
Indeed, although you could say, who is Baroness Videira? I mean, I doubt whether more than about, 1 in 1,000 voters has actually heard of her.
Yeah, but as Paul said, she's one of the many lords and ladies in the government.
She is. She's a junior minister, but the important thing is that she's very close to Gordon Brown, was one of his closest advisors for most of his time at the Treasury. And of course, the other thing about the phrase is it reminds everyone of that famous gaffe, that phrase by Norman Lamont, when he was Chancellor during the last recession, when he made his speech to the 1991 Conservative Party conference.
What we are seeing is the return of that vital ingredient, confidence. The green shoots of economic spring are appearing once again.
Well, Mr. Lamont proved to be terribly premature, and indeed the British economy didn't recover at that time for another 9 months until the summer of 1992, and Norman Lamont never really lived down that speech, or indeed a number of other gaffes that he made. Now, David Cameron, only a few weeks ago, was telling all of his people, look, we've got to be a lot more careful about the language we use. And not surprisingly, the Shadow Chancellor, George Osborne, has picked on Baroness Videira's words tonight.
I think for a Labour minister to be talking about the green shoots of recovery on a day when thousands more people have lost their job is not only unbelievably insensitive, but it begs the question, on what planet is this Labour government living?
Now, I suppose if you were going to defend Baroness Videira, you'd say, look, unlike Norman Lamont, it wasn't a set speech. She only used that phrase in response to a television interviewer who'd used the same phrase. She could have said no. And I think a more experienced elected politician could well have avoided it. There are certain phrases in politics you just don't touch.
Michael, thank you. Well, earlier this evening I spoke to Lord Mandelson at Westminster.